further down, Birch, let's dig in, because everything's real rosy at the moment. You know, the pipeline's producing these brilliant under-20s teams. The schools game is thriving. There's essentially 10, 8, 9, 10 academies there producing players that are the envy of the world. There's budgets of in or around $1 million in some of those schools for the rugby. It's incredible strength of the game here. But where do you think the possible weaknesses are? Where does Ireland and Irish rugby need to kind of safeguard or look to really kick on now in the next while?
I still think you need to, like, for all the talent coming through, Guy Easterby and whatever 5 or 6 years ago, you know, identified Gibson Park and James Lowe as two project players that could come, and look how they've turned out. That's phenomenal, and we're not as good without those two as well. You know what I mean? So the pressure's on now, and it looks rosy, and there's some super talent to come through, but it's a very small percentage of players who can win you a game in a Six Nations, you know, with a moment of magic. So it's all well and good being talented or hardworking, etc. But there's those players are the best of the best. They're elite. You know what I mean? So that's the challenge. It's to produce the diamond. So if we take down a 20 team yesterday, if 12 of them become professional players in the provinces, that's great. But what's actually going to help us win a World Cup or help us win another Grand Slam is the one player that comes from that who becomes a Johnny Sexton type or a Conor Murray type or Peter, you know, and that's the challenge, and that's not an exact science, or that's some of those fellas are born, you know, they're born with those gifts. So Ryan Baird was born with a level of athleticism that St. Michael's and I think the Trinity and his coaches in Leinster and Farrell is now, you know, I suppose harnessed to help him be a very good international rugby player and with potential to become an outstanding one. So, and yeah, I don't see, like, in theory, I think that the systems we have will find those kids if they're there and bring them through. But you are relying a little bit on a little bit of luck of them to be born with those gifts as well. And that gift doesn't have to be athletic. It can be born with, you know, a mental toughness. You know, you probably saw that WhatsApp of the under 14 Blackrock C team with Hugo Keenan on the bench. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you need a Hugo Keenan who's going, right, you know, I'm going to get there, and the single-mindedness to just keep hammering away to become world class. Like, he could be like, he was brilliant for Ireland in the Six Nations as well. So I don't see any obvious signs of a reason why it won't continue. I'm not saying we're going to be Grand Slam winners every year, because that doesn't happen, but that we can't be at the top for a while. I don't see any obvious reasons. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's going swimmingly, and I know people point to the schools as I think almost have a pot shot at Irish rugby that it's just the schools who are doing this for you. But I don't think there's a concern that will fade away. Like, people are investing their own money, and indeed it's parents in some cases. But that will probably continue the case. And Irish rugby is harnessing that strength well. Like, the RFU are getting the best of that crop of players who come through every year and driving them on to the next level. I still think it's a challenge for Irish rugby to be, like you're mentioning, some of those elite, incredible, once in a lifetime generation talents. Some of those guys aren't playing rugby in Ireland. You know, some of those girls aren't playing rugby in Ireland. They're playing other sports. And that's the challenge for me, is to have more people turning their heads and thinking, this is the game I want to play. Andy Farrell said, you know, this is the fourth most popular sport in the island, and we want to grow the game. And that's a really relevant point here. I look at the Irish football team and the diversity of it as well, just people from different backgrounds who love football, whose parents loved football before they came to Ireland. And you think it'd be great if a lot of those kids could also have their head turned by rugby and play rugby. And we are seeing elements of that as well, I think. And there's probably more work to be done on that and growing the area games where it's not even really on the radar at all. And it's easy to
there's a great story on that going back to, so is this Grand Slam or double Grand Slam the likability of this Irish team? You know, I know some people don't like them, but I think they are pretty likable, admirable people. You know, is this going to get new faces or non-traditional rugby people playing the game? I don't know, but I remember back Italia 90, and a guy, so obviously Italia 90 blew up soccer was huge. You know, I mean, the whole country was behind soccer. And there was a guy called Jack Bootman, and he was the president of the GA. He was from Ballymount, Wicklow man, a former vet, and he was asked on News Talk or RT, I can't remember which one, you know, are you worried about the impact that Tally 90 will have on GA Gaelic games? And he thought about it for a second. He said, no, if it was the RFU, I would be, but the FAI, I wouldn't, right? Okay, as in, they don't have the capacity to capture this, right? So that's the challenge. And like, I don't like, I'm not saying the RFU are better than the FAI or anything like that, but like this is that's the challenge now, is you've got something, you've got a story, you've got people, you've got a team, you know, that are playing in Ireland, professionals are playing in Ireland, so you can go and watch them. If you can't watch them play for Ireland, you can't get a ticket for the Viva for Ireland, England, which I know is hard. You can go watch them play in the RDS or the sports ground, etc. So they are accessible. And obviously that Irish team in 1990 wasn't, because they all played in the Premiership. Is this going to be one of the big drivers of getting more people involved in the game, whether that's volunteerism, whether that's playing, you know, male, female, etc. And that's probably, you know, we spoke about what we do with all these young talents that we have. Probably a more important question or strategy for the RFU is how to harness this, you know, this success in terms of expanding, you know, expanding the game and become the third most popular sport or whatever. Yeah, and people smarter than me will thankfully be making a decision.
And the nature of the sport is a challenge in that regard. We know that it's high contact, high danger. And I even listened to stuff recently. I heard a chat on News Talk about concussion in the game and parents' concerns there. And there's a big body of work going on now at the moment with the lowering the tackle height in the community game. So it'll be interesting to see what effect that has. Does it make people more likely to give it a go, etc.? But loads of big issues. Things are good at the moment, Birch, and we should definitely enjoy it. So early prediction: who's scoring the winning try on 28th of October at Stade de France in the World Cup final?
Gibson Park.
I knew you were going to say him after bigging him up. I'll go James Ryan. James Ryan, player of the championship. And what a championship it's been. It's been a pleasure to chat to you, Bert, through the course of it. Thanks a million as always, and have a good week.
You too, buddy.